Let's talk about magic. I think when many players think about how magic works in a tabletop RPG, the first thing that comes to mind is the concept of learning spells, memorizing those spells each day, or casting from a small pool of known spells a certain number of times per day, and I'm sure that's fine for a lot of tables. But I'm going to tell you about what I feel is a better approach to magic. In Rifts, one of the more common opinions I hear is that magic users are weak. They can't stand up to robots or demons very well compared to classes where you get to be a robot or a demon. But I think there are some things people don't consider when thinking about playing a magic user. So let's look a little deeper beyond just looking at the OCC or the spell list and get a better understanding of how magic actually works. As I mentioned at the top of the video, Rifts does not rely on a system of prepared spells that you can only cast a certain number of times per day, or as it is commonly referred to as Vancian magic. Rifts relies on what is more akin to a mana system, in which spellcasters expend PPE, or potential psychic energy, to cast invocations or ritual spells. Using the Leyline Walker as an example, this character will generally have between 100 or 200 PPE on average to cast his spells. Spells can range anywhere between 1 to 2 PPE or up to 2,000 PPE as a casting cost. You might be wondering how a character that only has a maximum of 10% of the amount of PPE needed to cast the spell can do so. Some cite this method of subtracting your PPE points when spells are cast as being tedious. But try to think of it like this. Like any armed character who has to keep track of and replenish ammo, so too does the spellcaster expend points to create an effect and then replenish those points with rest. But rather than always doing damage like a gun, the caster can opt for damage, effects, crowd control, protection, and many other applications to the magic. Are they the most likely to do tons of damage each round? Probably not, but they definitely can make up for that with utility. And the best part is they don't even have to use their own PPE points to do it. I think it's important to take a look at the magic section in the Rifts book, especially if you're new to the game. In there you'll learn that PPE can be drawn from other sources than yourself when casting spells. There are several different ways to gain this bonus PPE, and the situations can be limited, but given the right conditions, a Leyline Walker, or really any caster OCC, can benefit from the near infinite supply of magical energies provided by the ley lines themselves. It is, of course, up to the GM to make this a reality. There has to be a ley line to absorb that energy from. Another method that's typically pretty rare on Earth is to use a magic item specifically engineered to be a PPE battery so that you can cast your spells. This can be anything from an amulet or a cane, or really anything the GM wants it to be. As I said, it's rare to find one of these, but if your spellcasting character comes across one, they can instantly recognize it and its purpose. Particularly those like the Leyline Walker who can see magic energy emanating from anything that is magic or would have PPE, including people and animals. Which brings me back to the idea of answering the question as to how the character can cast a spell with such a high cost, by using PPE from sources other than himself, including other people. I'm sure you've seen many instances of cults and rituals where everyone gathers in a circle, joins hands, and chants along while the leader prepares to cast his powerful magic. In game terms, what's going on here is that any willing and living being can offer their own PPE, up to 70% of their total maximum amount for the spellcaster to use to perform his ritual or spell. The more people, the more PPE that can be absorbed. Alternatively, while less effective on its own, those of the evil cults can also sacrifice a creature, be it animal or human, to absorb its PPE. In the game, for reasons unknown even to magic users, when a creature dies, its PPE amount doubles at the moment of its death. When tapped in this way, the caster can only hold on to that PPE for about 6 minutes per level of the caster. Plenty of time to cast any large ritual spell. So there are a lot of great opportunities to be had when playing a magic user OCC. In a future video, I'll go over some of my favorite must-have spells when creating your character to start out with. And there are a lot of spells, not just in the core rulebook, but in all the various supplements that have come over the years. I'd also love to hear the perspective of players who have played these Men of Magic OCCs in the past, or are still playing them today. Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, bye-bye.